But yeah, the average price for grain, liquor, and clothes, their largest expenses for their pop needs, are 10.1% higher than the base price. So that's not good. The local price for grain is 10% higher indeed. Clothing price is 6% higher than base. And liquor is actually 13% higher. Goodness. Like, we could definitely use some local liquor, grain, potentially even clothing production, because they really need it here. I am considering that there may have been an issue introducing Sweden and Norway into our market, because perhaps they were not very industrialized. Although they seem to have at least a few factories, a lot of these factories are doing quite poorly. Yeah, my guess is that we're more industrialized than Sweden, so their populations now have access to all of our goods that we were making, so everything just got more expensive for us, even though in a sense they probably got cheaper for Sweden. So this is just maybe a temporary slowdown. They are of course increasing their standard of living expectation because they're becoming more literate, and their literacy is increasing faster. Pretty sure partially as a result of my construction of universities in like every single state. And I do kind of think that we need some more universities because we now have an innovation cap of 137.18, but we only produce 129.56. But I also don't want to make them expect a better standard of life that I can reasonably give them before they like kill us all. If there's some kind of literacy bomb, that'd be pretty funny to see. We do have a very high support homesteading movement with a medium amount of radicalism. We'll think about doing this. The Junkers are getting much weaker, and I love to see it. It may not even be long until they completely disappear. But yeah, to address this little problem here, I think what we're going to do is we're going to focus on just producing more. Just like more stuff. We're going to make more grain by doing technology. After pan-nationalism, we're going to go over to production, and we're going to do an improved fertilizer to start doing fertilizers for our farms. That will actually double the amount of grain that we produce base production from our rye farms. That does get subtracted a little bit by the secondary production method, but that's okay. That's going to crash the price of grain. Doing that's going to take 22 months to research it so far, plus the 21 months we have left, so about 44 months. So like 3.5 years. That's how we address the grain problem. Addressing the clothing problem means that we need to actually consider focusing more of our textile mills on more basic production, because our luxury clothes are only 0.8% more expensive than base, but our regular clothes are plus 20%. I don't think we can actually move anything around very well here. We're probably doing the best we can in terms of luxury clothing production. That is of course the entire market, so who knows what the other states are doing with their textile mills. Probably luxury clothing because it's much more expensive. So to address the clothing problem, we're just going to build more textile mills, and we're going to consider spreading them out. The issue with Brandenburg is actually that I only have 7,000 peasants left and 1.03 thousand unemployed, so I can't fit much more here. They do have decent migration attraction, so hopefully our population will actually increase over time. Yeah, so taking a look at Brandenburg's clothing prices, they are at plus 6% on clothing. It's not that bad, but it could definitely get smaller. Plus 13% liquor costs though, so we could do food industry and we could do textile mill here. Fabric is at plus 13%, so if we could do a cotton plantation here, that would be cool. But we can't. We can only do livestock ranches and rye farms. So the best we can do is we can do some fabric production from a livestock ranch. I'd really like to go up to proportional taxation, but it is opposed quite heavily by the industrialists and the Junkers. The only one in favor of it at the moment is the trade unions, and they're marginalized, so I cannot even get them into government. Fixing the taxation would actually make the poor a little bit better off as well. I'm trying to decide if I should build textile mills mainly in one spot or a few states, or spread them out. I think the issue is going to be access to fabric, because yeah, our agriculture in a lot of these states is limited to livestock and rye. Yeah, I only have 2 locations that I can build cotton plantations. Those are my colonies. I could consider building some fabric supply. Looks like the Germans have a couple issues with making clothing in order to get access to the fabric, at least in Victoria 3. There is also an issue, I think, economically, when you start to reduce the peasants considerably, and you don't have like a balanced supply of other goods in the state. So the peasants, they produce a lot of goods in small numbers, which probably balances out a lot of the prices here. So when you get really, really low peasants in a state such as Brandenburg, which has a population of 1.59 million, and only less than 10,000 of those are peasants, that means that everybody is doing a specific job that doesn't create a wide variety of goods, but they instead are specialized. So it's quite possible that we're having some issues with a lot of goods that used to be produced by peasants here. Since I produced so many barracks in Brandenburg that I concentrated my population very strongly into servicemen, and now those servicemen demand a lot of goods that I don't really have the population here to produce. The only way to fix the prices here in Brandenburg is really to fix the prices globally because of the population constraint, or to reduce the barracks and build locally. Let's just think about meeting the global need for clothing first. So we need 702. We'll figure out the fabric needs in a second. Each textile mill produces 100. I'd rather go over. So let's go ahead, let's build ideally 10 textile mills. We'll go ahead and we'll sort by earnings expected. So this should take into account the local price of fabric and dye, as well as tools. Dye, of course, we have to import. We have nowhere domestically that produces it as far as I know. And we'll spread these out a little bit. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. So Westphalia has some pretty good earnings here. I want to put 3 here. Oh, it actually adjusts the earnings every time you build one. Gotcha. Okay. So then I'll come back in a second. Oh, I guess it doesn't adjust after the first one is ordered. Alright. So we'll do 3 in Westphalia, 2 in Ruhr, 2 in Rhineland, 2 North Rhine, and then 1 in Brandenburg. That should help address the clothing problem. Now those 10 textile mills are going to create a demand for 600 fabric. To satisfy that demand with livestock ranches would take 30 livestock ranches, my goodness. To satisfy it with cotton plantations would take 15. Kind of wondering what to do then. Because we have the colonies down here in Africa. They can produce some cotton, but they can also produce other things. We've also got an issue with the market access here that is getting fixed by the railroad construction. Good. I have no idea if we built these. We did not build these furniture manufactories and paper mills in Prussia Guinea. I'm pretty sure that either the... Oh yeah, that dude that we conquered had them. That's right. Okay. Yeah, these guys... I'm just gotta check their railway. They don't have one yet. Okay. Gotta make sure that it's subsidized so I don't have issues with infrastructure. So these guys, they have 8.5 thousand peasants left, 3.6 thousand unemployed, but they have access to a variety of things, including dye. So they're quite important actually. But it looks like a lot of their plantations are trying to hire people already, so we can't build anything here. Yeah, they need quite a few thousand employees. Yeah, it's not going to come from cotton plantations, so it has to come from either trade or another colony. And I did remember as I was editing the videos here, I'm not sure if I ever thought about grabbing South America down here. I don't think they'd have access to cotton though. Yeah, we've got the interest here. We can't establish because Argentina and Chile have claims. Did they fix it where like Britain would actually colonize South America so now that they have claims? Was it like a war or something here? It's just too bad. I was really hoping that we could actually set up there, but if we can't do that, we'll take that interest away. No, unfortunately, we have already started every colony that we can possibly start, which is too bad, unless we look into some other places. Or we think about maybe pushing the Zulu here into Transvaal after that, like I was wanting to do. The Zulu, of course, are completely incapable of defending themselves. They have no flotillas or anything. So our tiny fleet could beat them down. If we try to take them, Britain might actually get in the way. Our infamy right now is 22.2, so we are reputable. That's not bad. Relations between us and Great Britain are cordial, so they're not great. Although their attitude towards us is that they see us as a desirable ally. Perhaps if we did a defensive pact, then they don't want to do defensive pact, okay. An alliance would take an obligation, no thank you. I kind of think that we'd like to attempt this and see what happens. The issue, of course, is if Britain takes their side and they don't leave their side, if I can't get them to reverse sway, then I cannot get past their 187 flotillas, although I'm not entirely certain exactly how moving military units across the ocean works. I don't know if you're guaranteed to get intercepted by a enemy fleet that is along a sea node. Like, is it a guarantee? I don't know. In other Paradox games, it's almost guaranteed to get caught, as far as I know. Like in EU4, it's pretty hard to... Like, if you're against the AI, you can do it, but in multiplayer, it'd be very hard. I think the only thing that Zulu could actually get from us in the war would be reparations, which might be something acceptable for the possibility of getting Transvaal after that. Because if I can just get this toehold right here, then I can always send troops here. But again, of course, if they convoy raid me, which convoy raiding is now fixed in the game, it does exist, I'm going to lose supply to those troops, and then I won't be able to hold Transvaal and Zulu. Like, my whole ability to colonize rests on my ability to keep Great Britain from not deciding that it wants to take those colonies from me, and me being unable to stop them. So yeah, I guess we have to build like 30 friggin' livestock ranches. We'll just build them all over the place. They don't get a whole lot of earnings at the moment. The next available production methods for the livestock ranches come from mechanized farming, which is quite far away. So that's gonna have to be what it is. I could also just do trade routes with somebody such as America. Historically, America was a big producer of fabric because of all their cotton plantations. Surprisingly enough though, I would only get 25 units from the American market. We could however get 595 units from the Chinese, and that would supply all of our needs for fabric. Our additional need for fabric from the additional production. I do think that we have a fabric imbalance at the moment. Nah, minus 7%. I'd rather trade for it with the Chinese. So let's actually do that then. I'll take the Chinese fabric. That's a good economic play, but it also makes us a little more vulnerable, of course, in case we end up at war with China or China decides to embargo us or something like that. We do have a free interest now, so let's think about where we'd like to declare that interest. I'd really like to get access to anything that I can get now for colonizing. I think pretty much everything is taken now, unless I want to start trying to get tiny little islands out here in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, this is a separate area. This is Oceania. Out here there is Fiji. Now Fiji has access to banana plantations, coffee, rice farms. Also has fishing, whaling, and logging. It's not a bad place to set up. They have 23.6 thousand peasants, so that's not much. We could take it just to take it. There's also Tonga. Now Tonga is one big state. It's got banana plantations, rice, whale, fish, logging. Not too sure about picking up some Micronesian islands, basically. I'd rather declare an interest somewhere else. Let's see if we can't figure out where we can find gold. You know, if you don't produce that good in your market, can you even search for that good? Well, I can see later technology goods. I bet what I can do is I can go to Transvaal, go to their gold fields, and then they produce gold. And I should be able to hopefully... Crap, maybe there's no way I can actually get to, and there must be a way. I want to find sources of it. There we go. Oh, there's a bunch of gold in Vrystaat. I definitely want to take South Africa from the British if I can get away with it. We can't do it yet. I think we need to unite Germany first. There's some in Spain, actually. Interesting. That'd be a high risk, though. Some in Austria that we'll get eventually. There's actually some in Morocco. Now, Morocco is using irregular infantry and hussars, like really basic cavalry. They might be protected by the Ottomans. They're improving relations with Egypt. They have an alliance with two Sicilies. What? They have a trade agreement with two Sicilies? Okay, so if we fought Morocco, we had to fight the two Sicilies. Two Sicilies, they have 13 flotillas, 43 battalions, so we can take them in a fight. Morocco, they have 8 flotillas. We currently have 46 flotillas. So we can beat their combined navies. We can beat the army of Morocco. We can probably beat the army of the two Sicilies. I don't think that their army will be able to protect Morocco until there's a front that they can move to in Morocco. But maybe they can. Maybe they can do it. Maybe you can assign them to the HQ in Morocco. These guys are using lion infantry. So they're not skirmish infantry. We could maybe take Morocco. There's some good stuff in Brunei over here. Let's just zoom out completely. So Australia is taken already. Got the Russian stuff taken already. All this gold in Alaska, goodness. Might want to beat the United States of America at some point in time. We'll see. Mexican gold. There's a lot of South American gold. That's something to look into. A lot of South American gold, actually. Let's say theoretically I say hi to Peru, Bolivia. Who gets in the way? So there's America, interested in the Andes, of course. There's also the French. Is this Russia? Yeah, it's Russia. Brazil. Chile. Britain. Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, of course, and Argentina. Argentina. So main ones are America, France, Russia, and of course Britain. A lot of people have an interest here. France is actually feeling wary towards us. I don't think that we have an obligation with them anymore, right? No, we probably traded it at some point in time. It's been a long freaking time since I played this playthrough. So I'm getting really well acquainted with what I want to do over the next couple days that I'm probably going to spend just hammering this thing out. Relations between us and France are at 46. I'll go ahead and top them off with some influence. We want to make sure that we try to do our best not to piss France off. They should still be number 2. They are indeed still number 2. They are still quite a bit larger than us in terms of GDP. Our standard of living is pretty similar though, and their population is really impressive, compared to our population at least. I really want to try some overseas stuff, but I get the feeling that Great Britain's going to get in the way. So let's not worry about it too much. We'll just focus on unifying Germany as much as possible, not worry too much about external sources or external issues. Supposedly we have low maximum organization for Defensive Corps 1, and that's from command limit. It looks like the organization did not drop instantaneously. Maybe they altered how that works. So let's grab another commander for Defensive Corps 1. It will have to be a junker, sadly enough. And I'm thinking the defensive strategist for Duggan chance, camouflage chance, more defense, adamant defense, which is a refusal to surrender. We'll take him. We'll set him up not on adamant defense, but on regular defend front. It is better for not losing as much land. Of course, if you think you can win no matter what, take adamant. So that fixes the problem with the organization in Defensive Corps number 1. Next up is Armada 1 is the organization. They actually have a command limit problem as well. Okay. Now I do think it's about 20 units per general. So let's give them a 3rd admiral. I'd really prefer a armed forces guy here. But this guy does have coordinated interception for more offense in exchange for casualties, as well as organized merchant convoys, so better convoy protection at the cost of more casualties. He also uses less supply, and he's actually a naval commander, so he's pretty good and innovative. Ugh, let's take him. I don't want to, but let's take him. Alright, that fixes that problem. We have Man over Machine, an event in Brandenburg. Members of the Agrarian League have expressed their concerns about technology replacing the independence and dignity of manual labor. Well, I think there is a bit of dignity in many forms of manual labor. Doing it yourself can sometimes be a really, what's the word? Rewarding experience. We shouldn't compromise the work of our people. The Agrarian League gets some momentum, they get happier, or they can lose some momentum. Well, the devout are in the Agrarian League, and their leader is no longer that communist. He's now a pacifist. That's too bad. Would have liked for him to stick around a while. Maybe he got killed by that general. Is that the duel that happened? Man, I think we slow these guys down. We are running a budget deficit at the moment. That is okay for a little while. We'll just build up some more construction, some more industry that should pay for it eventually. Although we might need to institute another tax, such as a liquor tax potentially. We do really need to think about what the hell to do with this interest. I think we've got an interest in everybody that has direct contact with us in terms of borders. I did notice earlier that Brunei had a lot of gold. They don't have any alliances, and we already have an interest here. So we could conquer this place and take their gold. The Dutch have quite the presence here, it looks like, in the form of the Dutch East Indies. Getting a foothold here would not be a bad move. I keep getting seduced by the idea of taking a gold field overseas somewhere. But man, a lot of people have interests here. France, Great Britain, the Chinese, looks like the Spanish. Lots and lots of people, including the Dutch, of course. It would be a risky move. Alternatively, we could find somebody to trade with. Holy crap, we actually have a bunch of interest now, actually. I did not even think to check that it increased. Okay. In that case, I want an interest. I've got 8 to place. I'd like an interest in North Africa. I'd like an interest in the Andes. Let's take an interest in Mexico. The Pacific coast. It looks like there's gold in northeast China, but I don't want to attack them for it. I do like trading with them. I could just attack them and take a treaty port, of course. Might consider doing that at some point in time. China has some gold in Hokkaido, but we already have an interest there, of course. Yeah, there's quite a bit in various parts of South America. So we'll take an interest up here in Gran Colombia, and we'll take an interest once more in La Plata. What about Brazil? I'm sure Brazil has access to a lot of things that we would like access to, and bringing them into the fold would be nice. Cotton plantations, banana, tobacco. Let's take an interest in Brazil. That means that we have 1 interest left. We might want to think about the Panama Canal, just to show off. I don't think that they've built the Suez yet, have they? Not yet, no. So we might take an interest in Egypt, actually. Getting the Suez Canal would allow us to get faster access to Southeast Asia. And I want to take an interest in this area for sure. So let's deploy that interest in Egypt. So there you go. We're interested in all of South America, the west coast of North America, many parts of Europe, and then most of Southeast and East Asia. We're down to 23.3 thousand in negative taxes, well, budget. I'm kind of wondering if we should go say hello to Japan. Nobody is around. All I want to do is say, open your markets to us and see what happens. I kind of have an interest in puppeting Japan, but that would really introduce a lot of people into our market that would be demanding our goods. I was reading that there's like different levels of puppets now, right? So there's protectorate. Tributary is just like giving you money in tribute. I cannot protectorate them because they're an unrecognized major power. Alright. So we'll go ahead, we'll just say hello. Let me inspect their barracks real quick though, just in case. Also, Great Britain is here, France is here. Lots of people are here. I don't think anybody should get in the way. All I'm doing is saying, you cannot be isolationist, and you are still isolationist, are you not? You are still isolationist, and you're using irregular infantry. So yeah, I'm going to go say hello. They were not going to accept, so I'm going to force a diplomatic play. And let's get to it. We got realism. So now we have realist art for our arts academy, as well as bourgeoisie patronage for the arts academy, and some other things as well. Let's take a quick look at our arts academies. It's in urban. Let's go ahead and we can bump them up to realist art, makes them produce more art in general. Uses a bit more paper, and now we can think about whether we want to do traditional, bourgeoisie, or independent artists. So traditional looks to be a mix of many different things. Bourgeoisie is like all capitalist for the most part. Well, it's more capitalist instead of aristocrats. But independent makes all academics. I'd rather make all academics. So let's go with that one. Apparently I got a Prussian second fleet from somewhere. Don't know where you're coming from, friend. Just gonna delete this particular one. We could start surveying the Suez Isthmus if we produce more bureaucracy. So it's something to think about. That'd be pretty funny to map the American western frontier and not even be America. There is a diplomatic play going on in Indonesia against the Dutch. We're not going to take a side in this. We're just going to see if anybody at all takes a side against us here. How many troops are they going to raise? 172. We should go ahead and scare the crap out of them by actually raising all of our soldiers. We actually have South German unrest in Bohemia. Agents of Austria-Hungary have been suspected of fostering this seditious behavior. Okay. I like to see some back and forth here. How many South Germans do you have? 34.4%, whereas it's 63.8% Czech. Let's go ahead and mobilize all armies. Yes sir, get her done. And the Agrarian League actually won 61.6% of the vote. Holy crap. The Conservatives are down to 14.9. Free Conservatives are 4.5. Alright, we're now at unacceptable government. Okay then. So we can have a government without the landowners in the form of devout and rural, or we could actually get intelligentsia, petit bourgeoisie, rural folk, and the devout. That sounds great to me. Let's take them. And just like that, the Junkers are down to 9% political clout. Feels great to see them vanish. With that though, I do have to take a short break for myself, but I should be back in an instant. Alright, and we're back to continue Victoria 3. We'll very shortly be going into our little conflict with Japan right here, and we'll be saying hello to them. We got a little bit of influence to spend. Let's think about spending it real quick. Let's try to improve relations with Great Britain again, and that gives us enough influence to improve with the Dutch East Indies. I want them to be happy in case we kind of move around here. Hopefully it'll entice them to not get in our way whenever we attack Brunei. I also want to go to my institutions here and improve our colonial affairs to the 3rd level. After that, I am going to need to increase our budget to fix our little budget deficit that we got going on. It's not going to be good for our population, but we're not going to do the liquor tax as well. We might do some taxes on something that would be for the rich, though. Anyway, I'm excited to make some progress. Let's get going. Yes, I did have my government change just now. So I have the Agrarian League and the Progress Party. We can make some actual progress now. I'd like to make the Junkers even weaker. So I could do homesteading and get this done super fast. So that's what we're going to do since we have that movement. That is going to make our farmers stronger. It's also going to make us have homesteading, which improves the number of farmers. Unfortunately, it also makes the clergymen more powerful, but it is what it is. The Junkers are now only 9% strength. They're at -20, so they're already radicalized pretty much. There's nothing more that we need to do to them other than wait. They shall disappear naturally. And it looks like nobody is going to support Japan. Yep, everybody has declared neutrality. It's just us versus Japan. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the 1st Armada to plan a naval invasion of Kyushu. We're going to use the offensive corps number 2. Offensive corps number 1 is actually trapped in the western portion of our nation. They cannot go anywhere. And confirm that. We also need to think about, so we have issues with our pops being below minimum expected standard of living in Brandenburg. I think it's because of